listening to the Straight to Video podcast with Rob Lane.
What's up and welcome along to the Straight to Video podcast with me, your host, Rob Lane. Hope everyone is doing great. Today I speak to someone who has been on my radar for over 15 years, but we've never spoken, so this was a real treat, and I promise you he's not related. On today's show I chat with badass musician, songwriter and insanely talented music producer Chris Laney, all the way from his home in Sweden. As I mentioned to Chris at the beginning of our chat, back when I was doing Trash Pit magazine, I'd receive a lot of promo CDs for review. Sometimes it would baffle me as to why some labels or bands would send their albums to review, as the music on them would be a million miles away from the hard rock and melodic rock I was covering in the magazine. I'd get so many real heavy metal albums or thrash or industrial albums. That music is fine, but for me, I just don't enjoy it enough or get it to give it a critical enough review. Now, one album that landed on my doorstep was by a band called Zanclan, all emblazoned with one of the most heavy metal logos you could hope to find, so here we go again. But for some reason though, I decided to give it a spin, and to this day I'm glad I did. Now bear in mind, this was 2005. Melodic rock was not in favour. Most bands from back in the day were working on a budget, recording their own albums, and to be fair, for a lot of them it did show. This Zanclan album though was something special. I'd not heard such a glossy, larger-than-life sound since maybe Def Leppard or some crazy good Winger production. It was absolutely huge and had hooks for days. Zanclan featured Shotgun Messiah frontman Zinny Zan, and the production was by today's guest, Chris Laney. It was obvious to me this guy had a golden touch, and it's shown on all the albums he's worked on since, from Stevie James to Crash Diet to Heat, Crazy Licks, Pretty Maids, who Chris would eventually join as a band member. Chris is to today's melodic rock music what Bob Rock and Mutt Lange was to the 80s. He's such a talent. It was a lot of fun to catch up with Chris, and also to learn that he's a music fanboy just as much as me, and we discuss his love of Kiss and getting to perform with Bruce Kulick, to working with Zinny Zan, whose band Shotgun Messiah, one of Chris's all-time favourite bands. We also talk about his amazing lockdown project called At The Movies, which shares a very similar theme to our very own Straight to Video, and sees Chris and his friends recording hard rock versions of their favourite 80s and 90s songs. For more information on Chris and all his projects, you can find him on Facebook, simply as Chris Laney, or check out his Laneyland studio. Alternatively, hit up Chris Laney Official on Instagram, and his At The Movies project are all over the internet, and you can find them simply by visiting atthemoviesband.com. Now, before we dive into our chat, I want to tell you all about a super exciting team-up in the world of Straight to Video. I've teamed up with the lovely chaps at Dead Skull Coffee. Now, don't worry, I'm not going all corporate. Dead Skull Coffee is as underground rock and roll as they come, and was formed by the team of Richie and Mark, who combined their greatest passions, rock and metal music, live gigs and proper coffee. They're quoted as saying that in the current climate of rock and roll with no live music happening, they've gone from touring to pouring, and they're currently serving up the AAA Access All Areas Dead Skull Coffee, which is available as beans or ground to order, and you can also get some VIP 100% compostable coffee capsules too if you dig the whole Nespresso type stuff. What is extra cool though is that having teamed up with Straight to Video, they're offering listeners to the show a skull-crushing 15% off your order, which you can get by adding the promo code STV on checkout at deadskullcoffee.co.uk, or you can click on the Dead Skull logo on stvpod.com, which will take you right to their site, and the discount will be applied on checkout. I've been drinking this stuff and I gotta be careful. 2 huge pint mugs of this stuff is so good and it goes down a little too easy, so I need to watch out. But now though, thanks for listening to the show. Please sit back and enjoy my Straight to Video chat with monster producer Chris Laney.
To your greed and grandiosity,
first came to my attention when I was doing my old magazine called Trash Pit Magazine in the early 2000s. And I received a copy of the Zan Clan album. And I was like, oh, this looks like some proper heavy metal stuff, because I knew nothing about the band or anything like that. The logo was like very heavy metal.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought, I'm going to put it on, and it came on. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. This is...
It's the way it is, you know.
It was perfect for the kind of theme which the magazine was, because that was exactly what I was doing, like trying to put focus on bands which still had that hard rock sheen from back in the day, and not many bands were doing it, so it was great to hear that back then.
I seriously think that Sandclan was about the first of the second wave of it. It was way before like Crash Diet and everything, so that's how they found me, you know, through that.
It was just so great sounding, just to hear something like that.
Old farts having fun, that's what it was.
Well, no, it had that kind of vibe. Its roots were firmly planted in like 1988, but for some reason it just had this whole new sheen to it, which I think your production kind of carries on to this day. It gives it that real great life. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you, man. My whole idea has always been this, you know, with the production, is to do something that there's no place like home, but you can make the home even better. It's like home makeover, you know what I mean?
That's a great way of looking at it, that is. That's awesome. So where did you grow up? I don't think you moved to Stockholm until you're in your 20s, right?
No, I moved here in 95, so I must be like 23. I was supposed to be here for, what was it? I told my parents I will be here for a month. And look at me, I'm here, you know.
Where was you before then?
In Helsingborg, in southern Sweden. The thing was, there was no more people to play with, to form a band. I knew everyone, and it was between Copenhagen or Stockholm. But I knew more people in Stockholm, so that's why I moved.
And what was the kind of town like where you grew up in? Was it a small town, or was it still quite a big city?
It's quite small. I think it's 150,000 people or something. But the thing is, if you play that kind of music, you know everyone. You know, that's just the way it is, you know. So when you fired like 25 guys, it's not that easy to go back and say, hey, do you want to play with me again? You know?
When did rock music enter your life? Because I think I've read you were like very focused as a musician from a really early age. Was that through your sister?
It was. Accidentally, I must say. She is 4 years older than me. So when I was 5, she was 9, and went to school, and she came home with, I think it was Destroyer, and I got this album. Now I might be 6, I don't remember, seriously, I don't, but the whole story is actually she came home with this guy called Dick. Good name for a boyfriend. But anyways, he came home and had this vinyl with him, and he said, yeah, you can have it, just to impress my sister. And it was Kiss Destroyer.
So you was in just with the artwork straight away.
Yeah, but I think I had it for a year before I dared to listen to it. And that is absolutely serious.
How great is that, though, that music had that effect back then? Like, you was actually... Dare I put this on the turntable?
Not only that, he told me stories that was so insane. He said, like, yeah, they're puking grease blood, you know, and they're shitting in tall hats on stage. And I was like, wow, fuck me, that's scary. You know.
Where did he draw that from?
I don't know. He lied about everything. He said he had a Kiss Originals that was pink as well.
So what was the point when you decided to put the needle on the record? I'm presuming it was a vinyl, was it?
Yeah, oh yeah, hell yeah. It was a vinyl, and I think actually it took a year. So I must have been 6. Because then I went home to a friend's place, a girl in my class, when I was in first grade. And her mom had Destroyer and Thin Lizzy's Black Rose. And she saw me, oh, this is Kiss, this is Destroyer. And she was like, wow, you know this. Do you know Thin Lizzy? No, you can have this. So I got that too. So I went back, started with Lizzy, listened to it. I was like, this wasn't so scary. Let's try Kiss. And I just fell in love. What
was it, do you think, that grabbed you? Was it just the whole larger than life feel of it, or the sound of the guitars, just nothing you've heard before?
I think I was just blown away by the whole thing that I dared to put it on. It's like, I think the same with people who like horror movies or something like that. If you survived your first one, you will love it. I never survived the first horror movie because I'm such a pussy, I promise you. I mean, I love rom-coms and shit like that, So.
Come on then, what was the first horror movie?
It was Boogeyman. Yeah, I couldn't look myself in a mirror for like 15 years. And it was also my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
She's got a lot to answer for then.
Yeah, she's answered for most of it, so it's all good.
Is she a fan of the work you've gone on to do since then?
I don't think I can find a more proud sister than mine. She's been there from day one. She was actually, her second boyfriend. Remember his name as well, Peter, and he was one of those tape guys. He was buying all vinyls, but he taped them because he didn't want to scratch the vinyls, And I had the chance to come home to his room, and it was posters everywhere, Motorhead. He was one of those guys with I don't know what you call it, with the belt and shit, all that stuff. I was sitting on his bed going wow, And he said there's a new tape coming out now called TDK. So you can get all my old tapes, because I need to re-record all my albums. So I got a moving box. I still have that box. That's my DNA. That's my backbone.
That's amazing.
And one day I would love to meet this guy, because it was Accept, it was Lizzie, it was Bachman Turner Overdrive, Gary Moore. It was I didn't even know what it was. I was just listening to this and just go, oh, wow.
Every day you can just get a different one and put it in and listen to it.
Yeah. I'll never forget, because I was at a friend's place. His parents had just divorced, and they were living out in, they had a horse ranch. We were up there doing our own little apartment or whatever with a ghetto blaster. And I had this cassette going this is called Acept, but it was Accept. We couldn't pronounce it. So this Acept. And it started off with I'm a Rebel. I remember us going we totally loved it, So thanks, Peter.
You need to take a photograph of that box with all the tapes in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have all of it.
That's on the back of your next solo album. This is what made me.
Yeah, exactly.
Was it drums and piano you tried before you actually found your way to the guitar?
My first instrument was drums. My parents got me a drum kit when I was 7. In a 3-room apartment. That's not the wisest decision ever. And they actually put it up. They had this 1,000-watt lamp that Dad has stolen from his work. But we had our stereo in the living room. So when my parents weren't home, I went on there, put on Kiss Alive 2, ran into my room, and I had the thickest sweaters you could find just to start sweating like Peter Criss.
Oh, amazing. That's so good.
Then I got onto piano, because my sister was taking piano classes. And one day when she didn't finish her stuff, I was just watching her, and I was So I sat down and I played it. And then I can hear my mom go oh, darling, that's great. You never played that so good. And it was my sister. It was me. So that's when they decided that I should play keyboard.
So did you take to it pretty easy? Was music that something kind of made sense to you?
Both yes and no. I mean, music for me, I understand music. I do understand music. But I will never be a Yngwie Malmsteen. I would never be I'm the slowest guitarist you can find.
But do you ever want to be? Have you ever aspired to be like that?
No, never aspired to it. But sometimes when I sit and, I make songs and I just want to, I hear, then I go, and I need to explain for the guitarist that, okay, I want that, but fast,
Got enough people who you can call on these days.
Yeah, I do. That's a good part.
So once you started on the guitar, did it suddenly open up a whole new world for you with songwriting and learning your favourite songs?
I was 12 when I joined my first band called Satisfaction, later Scratch. And these guys were 6-7 years older than me. So for them to have me in the band was should we have this little dude? But I got the gig.
That's a massive age difference back then.
Still, it's my sister. It was her friends. And she said, you got to try my little brother because he will kick your ass. And I went down there. My dad had to carry my keyboard because it was too heavy for me to carry. Went down to the basement and, I was playing and they said, you got the gig. Me and the singer was standing in front of bass, 2 guitars and drums. And I was always looking at the guitarist going holy fuck, I want to do that too, So I actually got a guitar from the guitarist when I was 13. And that's the first time I played guitar.
What sort of guitar was it? Do you remember?
It was a Duke Les Paul. The worst one you can find. You can't tune it even if you were in a death sentence,
But it was a Les Paul shape, so you kind of looked like Ace Frehley, so you was happy.
Exactly. And then I went home and after a while, I actually made it very pink. Yeah, but it was my first guitar.
Kiss are one of those bands that had a massive effect on you with the album Destroyer, but I would say the Chris Laney sound is very much in the glossy, huge style of 80s Kiss. Are you a fan of all eras?
Yeah, I am. But my absolute favorite album of all times is Unmasked.
Oh, cool, right.
Because I'm such a pop song fan, you know. I love the choruses, I love the melodies, and I know it's kind of like a weird production on that one, but not for its time. For its time, it's like totally awesome. I mean, that is what like the Night Flight Orchestra tried to do today. It's very nice, and I love that kind of sound. But to hear Kiss do that, I do understand that people got a bit shocked, you know. But for me, that is my absolute favorite Kiss album.
I always liked it because I was really late in the day with getting into Kiss. I always knew of them because, I mean, obviously they had a huge hit in England with Crazy Nights and stuff like that. But I didn't really dive in hard until Revenge. So that's how late in the day I was.
Okay. I actually saw Kiss 83 was my first show. And I got to ride with my sister's friends again because it was like 100 kilometers from Helsingborg. So we went down there and I still got to hear from these guys that I had to pee every 10th minute because I was so nervous. They hated to have me there. So I saw that, and I saw them 84, 2 times 88.
Right.
You know? So, and then I've seen, I don't know how many shows, you know.
How was that first show though? You say you was nervous. Was you nervous, excited, nervous, scared?
I think I was everything. I think I was scared shitless, to be honest, you know, because people didn't know what to expect. Some said that, okay, they will start, you know, with makeup and then we'll take it off and come back for longer without it. And then someone said like, no, it's only, you know, that's just a lie. They will have you know, you didn't know. But I was so excited. And I had this guy called Magnus that was like 2 meters tall. And he had me on his shoulders the whole time. And I was like, I still have all the photos and, you know, it was a great memory.
You've been able to work and perform with Bruce Kulick of Kiss. How did that whole collaboration come about?
Let me see here. I got to remember it correct so I don't lie here. It was actually someone from Kiss Army Sweden calling me and saying, do you have a demo of yourself doing a Kiss song? And I said, yeah, I have like Crazy Nights, you know. So I sent that off. Then it took a couple of months and someone called home and said, hey, it's Bruce Kulick from Kiss. I was like, yeah, Thomas, fuck off. Doof.
That's like how the film Rockstar.
Yeah, and he called me up and I said, fuck off, you know? Then my wife took it. And somewhere in my head, I mean, I heard it might have been Bruce Kulick, you know? But it was. And finally, I called him up. And he told me that he was doing those Kiss conventions in Sweden. I think it was 3 or 4 or something. And then one in Norway, and I think the total was like 6 shows, maybe. And he wanted me to sing. He said, like, it's not often I hear people, you know, that can take those high notes. And I was like, okay. It was supposed to be the opening act that would be the rhythm section, you know, for this. But I went to their rehearsal room, and after 5 hours, they weren't through Creatures of the Night. So I called up Bruce outside saying, hey, man, we got a problem.
You were straight with him. You got to tell him.
Yeah, straight away. And he was totally nervous and scared shitless because he didn't think someone would actually warn him that this is not going to work, you know. So he asked me if I knew some people. Yeah, I know people. So within 24 hours, I had a band.
It's perhaps not hard to pull a band together when you can dangle the carrot in front.
But at the same time, you didn't get loaded on this tour. You have to be a fan to actually do it, you know.
That's what I mean. I think there'd be a lot of people. I think, are we going to get paid would be the very last question they'd ask if they're going to get a chance to play with Bruce Kulick.
But these guys, I actually know they wanted some cash as well, you know. But he happily paid when I told him that, you know, these are pros. He was actually coming like 3 days later, and we needed to nail like, what was it, like 23 songs? And it was like, holy fuck, how are we going to do this? And he had his like, we're going to do a Asylum medley, we're going to do a Creatures of the Night medley. We were just standing there, you know, scratching our heads going like insane. But he came in and he had some points going like, now you play that wrong, you do that wrong, da, 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 da. And then we went out on tour. So that's actually how we got to know each other. You know, I think he trusted me and he knew that, okay, it worked. I must tell you about a very strange situation on that tour, because I wasn't drinking at all, because of my throat. I was, I had to be spot on. I mean, I was nervous like shit every day, So he invited me up to his room, going like, hey, Chris, what are you doing? It's like the rest of the guys are down drinking and want to watch a movie? Yeah. So I went up to his room. He was lying there in like this big bed and watching a movie. And he said, man, I got to take a shower. If someone calls my phone, answer it, and just tell them I'm in the shower. Yeah, sure. So I was lying there looking at, this movie. And someone called and it's like, hey, it's Gene, it's Bruce here.
No way.
Like, what the fuck is that? And I said, no, he's in the shower. Yeah, but yell at him. It's Gene. And I went there, hey, Bruce, it's Gene on the phone. And I was like, what does he want? What do you want? I'm having like the release party for Asshole, and that's tomorrow, and I want him to come over. He wants you to come over to his fucking release party. And the only thing he says is like, tell him I'm taking the bus. He's taking the bus. Okay, thank you, bye. So I'm sitting there, Bruce Kulick is in the shower, I'm having Gene Simmons on the phone. It was just like surreal,
That's the best. Have you had any connection with Gene since then?
I met him a few times, just very randomly. But the last time was actually one of the Kiss cruises, and he came up to me and said like, hey man, I know you, how are you doing, blah, blah, blah. We had a coffee together one time where I presented my work for him, and he remembers people. He's like, he's seen you once, he knows you, so don't fuck it up the first time. Then Bruce and me have actually been very tight ever since. He loves like my daughter, he's met her, and both him and Lisa, when I went to the States, they took me out for ice cream, and he showed me where Kiss used to rehearse, and he knows I'm a geek, but somehow he respects it. He's just a sweetheart.
Growing up, did you have a group of friends who all enjoyed the same kind of bands, or was you always, like say, the first band you joined, it was older people? Was you kind of a loner, drifting in and out of things which you enjoyed?
I think I was for my age, pretty much, because I was playing with those older kids. My friends were out playing like land hockey or whatever it was, I was down in the basement rehearsing. When I was 15 years old, we usually played at this club called La Dolce Vita. And when I was turning 15, they actually filled a big table with rum and coke and a big flag on a happy birthday, Chris. 15! And my son is like turning 16, and I'm like, ah!
That's probably when it hits you how crazy it was for you to be doing it at that age.
I think it was like a Rain Man thing, I loved the music, and I just wanted to be. It was very quickly for me that I ain't gonna work in the factory. I'm gonna be a rock star. That's what I'm gonna be. Then that I didn't make it all the way, but I made as far as I could go.
No, I think you've done pretty good. I wouldn't worry about that too much.
Thank you.
Was new music easy to find in Sweden? Was there a lot of coverage of like the huge hard rock explosion, which was mainly concentrated in the USA? Was that big on radio and TV, or did you have to hunt it down?
I must say it wasn't big on radio and TV. We had some shows, but we had this magazine called OK. And poster before that actually, they started with Runaways and blah, blah, blah. And then they just covered, like, when Wasp came. I saw a picture of Black and Lawless, bloody and sweaty and messy, and I was like, oh, I gotta hear that album,
Wasp were almost like the X-rated version of Kiss, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
By that point, I guess you'd been initiated on Kiss, and you was a little more comfortable to dive in there, and it was more exciting than scary. I gotta listen to this now.
Yeah. They must be the best band in the world. I mean, come on. They have skulls. They have saying what do you call it? A sword blade between its legs. And, holy shit. I mean, it's perfect. I fell in love with Wasp, too. And then, like, what can I be like? I'm trying to, go back. But by 13 or something like that, we got Sky Channel and Music Box. That were UK-based channels. And they had, like, a rock show like midnight or something. So I always taped it because my parents wouldn't allow me to be awake. So I just skipped school the day after. I was like, oh, fuck, man. It was like, that's when all the good bands came, First off, it was like Gary Moore and all that. But a year later, it was Cinderella. And it was like, and with the big hair and stuff, I was, yep. That's why I still have long hair.
Did you have a favourite record shop where you would buy music from? Was it easy to get hold of new album?
Yeah, and I remember so clearly that this guy was so insanely nice, and I skipped school a lot. And I heard that Ace Frehley was releasing Frehley's Comet, the first one. I already bought the bootleg from him from New York City, the black one called Back in the New York Groove or something. And I bought some cassettes for insane money. Because he had like a list, you could go into his office and look at it. And I even bought Venom, like a VHS of Venom with Witching Hour and Bloodlust. And I think I paid like 20 euros or something back then. I mean, it was insane money, But for me, it was like, oh, I can get this. So when Frehley's Comet came and I said, do you know what day? I think it's tomorrow. What time? They usually come at 1. So I skipped school, went down, and they didn't come. Next day, skipped school, didn't come. Day after, they did come. And he said like, hey, Grace, come over here. You're the one who's putting out the album first. So, I mean, that's how cute it was.
Were there any bands from that time which you were such a big fan of? You thought they were the biggest band on the planet, but later on down the line, you realised they perhaps weren't as successful as you thought, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I would say Shaka Messiah is one of those bands because they are my absolute favorite band. The same goes actually with, now we're talking almost early 90s, I think, like a band like Heaven's Edge, which I think is superb. Icon, I thought they were like millionaires,
Once you saw that video on MTV or something, that validated them as being, well, they've got to be living in the mansions.
But the same with Wasp, and it was only one guy.
Are there any bands from that era that you'd never got to see live, which you hoped you would have had the chance to see back in the day?
Yeah, but absolutely. That's why I'm so happy that Monsters Rock Cruise exists, you know what I mean? Because then I got to see Bullet Boys. The first Bullet Boys is also one of my top 5. I got to see Madam X. I got to see Slaughter. I got to see, all these bands. Rats with Stephen Percy. So I was like a kid in a candy store. And my wife actually said that she's never seen me starstruck or that happy. I was standing in a bar. And one guy comes up to me and said like, yeah, so what bands are you looking, do you miss on this cruise? I would die for Bullet Boys, It's like, yeah, they're playing in 15 minutes upstairs. I was like, no, they're not on here. And he said, no, it's without the singer, but it's the whole band with Andrew on vocals.
Oh, it was the Lies, Deceit and Treachery thing, was it? Yeah, okay.
And they were playing the first album from start to finish. So I went into this small room, and it was insane. People were sitting down and shit like that. And they went out, it just exploded. And my wife has videos of me when I'm lying down on my knees going, I can't take this, And I was shaking. I had to, and I was like, I need to meet them. And she's like, yeah, but you got your all-access pass. You just go, I don't dare, But I did.
I love that.
Finally, yeah. That was like the biggest for me, to meet the Bullet Boys guys and have a chat. And, I thought that was amazing.
They're doing the whole original lineup thing now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I hope it's for the better. I don't know. Because what I saw right there and then was like amazing.
Those songs still hold up today. And when you put that first album on it, I think Freak Show's a work of genius as well.
Absolutely. But that's where they start to lose me, because then they turn over too much Van Halen for me. I love the first one because it's like a fistful of middle fingers. It's like, smooth opinion,
That's a great way to describe fistful of middle fingers. I love that one.
Yeah.
Sweden's never lost its love for melodic hard rock. What do you think it is that's kept that, let's say, flame burning so much over there?
I think it's because of the music. If we're going to go back, I mean, the folk music we have here is like very melodic. It is. It has like a melancholic vibe to it, but it's poppy melodies and quite happy. So, could easily be a violin, something we dance to on Midsummer. So, I think you need to be a Swede to understand it. But I don't know. But I think that's the thing, to be honest. I think so. And we love pop music. We like simple melodies, and we love to have the structure. As I always say, there's no place like home, as I told you before, that you need to feel like you're coming home but something is different, that's fine. There's just a new painting, So if a song is very familiar with someone else, I don't care, as long as it's good.
I think that's it. I'd never thought of it, but I think you've nailed it then. Just a love of pop music, which is at the core of, let's call it pop metal or whatever, of the late 80s.
Yeah.
At the core of it is just a great pop song with heavier guitars. That's all it is, really.
Yeah, it is. I mean, ABBA was more progressive than Europe. But there were still pop songs.
If ABBA came out with more heavier guitars, they'd have been the greatest pop metal band of all time.
Absolutely. Then no one would talk about fucking Led Zeppelin either. No, but seriously, I mean, listen to it. I mean, it's an insane riff. I mean, being in Amarante today, that would be like the best riff ever.
Have you always had an interest in the production side of music? Is that something you always, let's say, heard or took notice of, do you think?
I think it started when I started my own band, 17. I had a vision of how I wanted it to sound. So we went into a studio and I got the demo and go like, no, this is not even close to what I want to do. When you have a vision, but you can't translate it into the desk, because you don't know the formula. So I met Göran Elmqvist, is his name. He did Talk of the Town, and he was involved in a lot of the Swedish Stockholm scene. First time I recorded with him, I knew he knows what I'm after, but only to 95%. The rest I need to bring in, So I was like a tick. I was a pain in the ass. Why do you do that? And how do you do that? And da-da-da. And that you did over there, do more of that, So that was the whole thing. And after that, I decided to buy myself a little studio, like a 4-track.
How old was you at this time?
17, maybe? 16, 17. And then there was this place in Helsingborg called Villan, which is pretty much the house. It was more like a hangout, but they had a studio in the basement and no one was using it. So I talked to the owner and go like, hey, I'm very interested. And so, yeah, go ahead, just go down there. So I did some black metal albums with people just to, okay, a microphone here and, And I instantly fell in love with it because I knew I would come there one day to do what I hear, in my head.
You just knew that was the next step in your kind of musical journey.
Absolutely. Because a song is a song. But a song you can dress in so many different clothings. But you need to nail it, you need to actually get the full package.
Did you go to school or college to learn any recording techniques, or have you always been like self-taught and learning from other producers who you've worked with?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm dyslexic too, so read about shit is just forget it, man.
You've just got to find your own way with it.
Yeah, and when I worked at Polar Studios, I mean, people are coming in and everyone knows about gear. If you're in the studio, they go like, yeah, do you have that and that and that? And I'm like, I don't know. So what do you use on your vocals? That gray thing over there. I just know it sounds good, but I don't know what the name is, so that's me.
Were there any albums which you listened to as a fan where the production and sound, it stood head and shoulders above other records to the point where you consider that album as like, let's call it the benchmark, that is the goal? Do you have any albums like that? I mean, a lot of people go towards like Hysteria by Def Leppard.
Yeah, but I do that too. I do that because Mutt Lange is my biggest hero. Not because of the sound, but because of the arrangements. I love how he thinks, if someone plays like ga, he has someone going ga, and one going tick. So nothing is fighting with each other. And that's his thing. He's very good at leaving the snare alone. Like if you listen to AC/DC, don't, da-da-don't. That's why the snare sounds so good. And it's all about arranging, and I love him. So I must say Hysteria as well, but at the same time, I mean, it's so dated today, but it still sounds like spot on.
How would you say it sounds dated?
They use like these ones, I gotta show you. Like the Rockmans instead of a guitar amp and, stuff that it becomes like sterile somehow. I mean, you can play Hysteria as loud as you can and your speakers won't pop. Because there's nothing that surprises you. Everything is like correct. that can also be like equal boring sometimes, but I still think it's amazing.
To me, I always call it like a space age album. It took it from being a band just to being something otherworldly.
I mean, I love Pyromania, but even there, Mutt Lange is using drum machine. No one thinks about it. The only thing he's playing is the cymbals. I mean, I have like a 16-track separate with everything, and it's Simmons drums, and then it's like cymbals. He's playing that afterwards, and it's like, yeah.
Are there any albums by your favourite bands where you love the songs and performance, but you'd like to get your hands on those original tracks to remix it, or should things be left alone and just move along?
No, but there's a lot. But there's one album that I would love to remix and fix up a lot of shit on, and that is Kiss Carnival of Souls, because I know that I would be able to make that sound like Revenge. Because these two albums are very similar in the songs. If you take away all those harmonies, that is very grungy. It is Revenge. You have such good songs, and that one I would love to remix. I would even love to remix Last Command by Wasp.
I'd love to hear you work on that Kiss one. Surely there's got to be in with that. Surely Gene can see a money-making scheme on that one.
Never know.
Remixed, repackaged, and get it out there again.
Yeah, why not?
The Chris Laney vision on it. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, my own take.
You've worked with some of your heroes. You mentioned, we spoke a little bit about Shotgun Messiah earlier on. You've worked with Zinny Zan, who you went on to do Zanclan with, and you've also worked with Randy Piper of Wasp. Both of these, I believe you approached them.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself someone who knows what they want and you knew you could do something great with them, so it's just a matter of having the confidence to hunt them down and make that connection?
When it comes to Zinny, I mean, it took a year until I actually dared go talking to him. I had to be shit-faced to even say hi.
Is that just from a fan perspective?
Yeah, he was like God.
He had such an impact on you.
Yeah. So I asked for his number, and he said, like, yeah, here you go. And it was very simple, And I went home day after, and he's like, oh, I just hang up. I couldn't take it, But the next Friday, I was at the same bar, and he was DJing, and I was totally shit-faced. Went up to him again, and he's like, yeah, but you have a studio. Yes, I have a studio. Yeah, I'll come by you to like Monday or something. I was like, yeah. So I went home and I wrote like 3 songs that I would love for him to sing. And I brought all my Shotgun Messiah and Easy Action albums, just so he could sign it if I never would see him again.
You do realise how unprofessional that is to do that.
I know. But I'm a fanboy, man. I'm a fanboy. I don't fucking care,
I would totally do the same thing.
And he signed all my albums, and then I played him a song, and he was like, oh, that's really cool, man. Yeah, and I have a melody line. Do you want to try it out? All this happened within 20 minutes, I promise you. So we're standing there, and all of a sudden we're working together. And it was a song called Can't Get You Out, I think it was. So we got like a CD, and he went home. And halfway he called me up and said, hey, Chris, you know what? We gotta start a band. This is the best shit I've done since Shotgun Messiah. I was like... I couldn't breathe.
Oh man, that's amazing.
And when it comes to Randy, because you asked of it, it was actually, I'm a Wasp fan, huge Wasp fan, but I've been looking on the internet, looking what they're doing, and there was nothing about Randy Piper. We had a band called Animal back in 87, and all of a sudden, Paris Records is releasing Randy Piper's Animal called 900 Pound Steam. And I get the album, and it sounds so terrible. It's in mono to start with. I mean, seriously. Someone just fucked it up and no one noticed. I called Tom at Paris and got the number, called up Piper's manager and said, hey, I'm willing to remix this whole album for free because I can't stand my hero sounding this bad. And I didn't get any response. All of a sudden, weeks later, Piper calls me up and said, hey, man, are you serious? Yes, I am. I sent off a demo that I made of one of their songs from that album. This is how it could sound. And they called me up again and said, hey, can you come on Saturday? What size are you? I was like, what do you mean? I'm in Sweden. Yeah, but our tour starts on Saturday and Chris can't leave California, so you're taking his place. I was like, yeah, but I got a newborn and, it doesn't work like that. And it took a half a year, and then they called me up that Rich and Piper had left the rest and they wanted to make an album with me. And that's when I said, yes, let's do it.
Crazy how things work out.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Your new project, which you started during lockdown at the movies, has proven massively popular, probably a lot more popular than you expected it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are you a big fan of 80s movies to this day?
I am. As I told you before this, I told you that I'm a sucker for rom-coms, and I want a happy ending. I want a fuck you explosion and a happy ending. Then I'm fine. No horror movies or anything like that.
What are some of your favorites all time to this day? What are your comfort movies?
E.T. is the best. I mean, and Top Gun. Oh, I love Top Gun. Except that one dies in it. I don't like that. So, but that's the kind of movies I love.
Every time it's like you're hoping that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. Goose, for fuck's sake, man. No, but I love that kind of movies. I do.
How are your hopes for the Top Gun sequel, Maverick, when it comes out?
Well, after seeing Cobra Kai, now I have high hopes. That actually floored me, going like, this was real fun. It was real good. It's just as corny. It's just as predictable. And I love it. I do.
There's some magic in Cobra Kai. I don't know what it is.
It's the music, man.
You think so? It's all those little nods and acknowledgements which keep coming in there.
Yeah, but all the small things, and yeah, I just love it. I do.
There's a lot of heart in there, I think.
Oh, yeah.
If something's got a lot of heart, people can pick up on. Such as Stranger Things. I don't know if you're a fan of Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah.
You can feel the love which is on that screen, which probably translates to music as well. You know when something's done with passion and heart.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it does show for sure. Were there any songs you decided to cover at the movies that when you actually dived into the way the song is constructed, that it surprised you perhaps, the way you thought the song was going to be a lot simpler, but all of a sudden, wow, that's clever.
Yeah, but every time, seriously. There is something about the 80s. What's the most common thing is that everything is so well thought. Everything is like in detail. It's the tempo, it's why the key is the way it is, it's why that is playing right there. So my main goal all over has been to do the same tempo, same key, same arrangement, but if there is a that's a guitar. If there is a saxophone, that's a guitar. So we try to transform everything down to 5-piece keyboard, bass, guitar. And I think that's the only difference, really. And that we have a lot of fun. But there was like a couple of tracks, it's not like we just make a track and release it. I'm sitting here trying out tracks. There was one that we really wanted to do, that was Go and Get Stuff. When they go and get stuff. And that's a Mutt Lange thing. Of course, that's idiocy to try that one. Because I was trying and it has this kind of shuffle. We gave up.
What was the most bizarre song suggestion? Was there any where we was like, where did that come from? Did someone pick a really obscure film or something like that?
Actually, that we did that ourselves with the 11th track, which was Far From Over, which is like Frankie Stallone. In Sweden, no one knows that song. But it was a song that both me and Björn, the singer, we like. And also the fact that we could showcase how we can play, because there's a lot of... it's a very weird song. But it was fun. And the thing was, no one liked it except for me and Björn to start with. But when it was all done, everyone was like, oh, fuck, that's my favorite. So.
We get it. Nice. Just to kind of bring things to a close, you have such a honest passion and love for the 80s hard rock sound, which is widely associated with the USA, and now you're showing this same passion for the 80s era of movies, again, which has a link to America. Is that somewhere you ever considered relocating to, or is your heart always in Sweden and you're happy just with the opportunity to go tour and see the rest of the world when you can?
Well, my dream is to actually do some American bands, for real. I mean, I would love to work with Rat and Bullet Boys and all these, but they have so little trust in a guy from Sweden.
Even with your track record, which you've got.
Yeah. They would never do it. I mean, that's the way it works. And that really sometimes makes me a little sad, because I think I'm even cheaper than the guys they use. And I know I would do a better job because I'm a fan. So relocating, no. I mean, not after what's happening in the last 5 years. Nah, I don't think so. We're pretty good here in Sweden.
Have you visited the USA many times, either on vacation or touring? Yeah. Which is some of your favorite parts?
I must say, it's such a huge country to start with. I have family in America as well, so I've been to like Tacoma, Seattle, LA, New Jersey. I've been to Leadville, Colorado, which is like the highest located village, I would almost say, in Colorado. Colorado, and I've been to Cincinnati, and
You've had little tasters of everywhere.
but I gotta say something. My first trip to Cincinnati, because Piper was living in Cincinnati. I went there with all my equipment because we were recording his first Violent New Breed, it's called. And I'm on my way into the country, and this guy checks my ID and everything, and it's just like, oh, business of pleasure, sir. Simply pleasure. And he's like quiet and goes like, in Cincinnati? Good luck, sir. That's when you know something is sketchy. You know? In Cincinnati? Good luck, sir.
He had you sweating for a brief second, like, what's he going to ask me?
Yeah. It's fun shit, man.
Chris, thank you ever so much. I've loved getting to finally connect with you and chat.
The same, man. And I gotta do one little thing here, is to tell everyone to go and check out Ronnie Atkins' album One Shot that just was released. I'm producing it, and it's my buddy from Pretty Mates, and this is the album I'm most proud of in my life. So please check it out.
How was it for you just putting all that together? Was it all enjoyable? Or was it hard work and you're happy with the result? Or was it just a lot of fun?
Yeah, it was hard work, and it was a lot of heart in it. I mean, we didn't know if Ronnie was going to survive till the release date, so it was like a pressure as well. I worked like a maniac. I actually did. I mean, he's my buddy, and, we just tried to get it going pretty fast, and but we went through so many songs, and we had so many laughs, and, but what turned out, I must say, that's the album I'm most happy about that I've ever produced.
Chris, thank you ever so much, mate. I've loved it.
Cool, and you call me on Sunday and we do part 2?
We can do if you want.
Just kidding.
Awesome, man.
Hey, man, nice talking to you.
You take care and keep in touch.
I will. Cheers, man. Bye-bye.
Big thanks to Chris Laney for chatting with me and having some fun here on the Straight to Video podcast. I had a blast with him, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it too. Be sure to check out atthemoviesband.com, and also the new album Chris was saying is his best work yet, the Ronnie Atkins album One Shot. For more info on that, simply search Ronnie Atkins Official on Facebook. Thanks to all of you for continuing to support this show. Please stay in touch over at stvpod.com, where you can listen to all previous episodes, check out the STV music and videos, grab some merch, buy me a coffee, and now you can get your own coffee from our friends at Dead Skull Coffee. All links are on stvpod.com. So until I speak to you all again, look after yourselves and catch you soon.